they hit the highs of now Ssumday and Smer both deserve to be in that particular camp. So Untara being relevant so young into his pro career, it's good to see.
Yeah. So Twisted Fate and Lee Sin banned out. And we are back onto SBENU on the blue side. They banned TF, Rise, and GP in their first game. So that'll be TF and Gangplank similar bans. One more time, the Lee Sin has been removed as Flawless's dangerous pick.
Won an MVP with that Lee Sin. Was one of the main proponents of getting SBENU back into champions for this year on the Lee Sin. So a smart ban comes through, and they're going to also remove the Lulu on red side. First Lulu of the night getting through on blue side. Snapped up as a first pick. You know, we had some question marks on Sky and its role in the mid lane, but a champion like Lulu and its reliability really removes any potential weaknesses from the pool.
Yeah, CJ did ban Kindred in the first game, but they may not be quite so terribly worried about that pick after the last game. Opens them up some other possibilities, perhaps going with the Kalista ban. No, Corki. It was first picked by SBENU in game number 1, and they did win with it. Elise now elevated to the premier pick, and that will be Flawless, who hasn't shown us great Elise play in the past.
No, his Elise last week was definitely not the best. It was much similar to his Lee Sin, but obviously less ways to get out after going in aggressively with your gap closer on Elise. So going to have to be a bit more on the ball in terms of respecting vision and levels of aggression in competitive play.
All right, so hovers over the final picks. Kalista, more than likely the choice. Banned in game 1, taken by SBENU in the first round of the draft on red side in game 2. Alistair, once again, most likely taken by Madlife.
And the level between the first game and the second game, the moment that Madlife picked up the Alistair, he was suddenly making plays. They did that nice, smart flank play that got them an extra couple of kills when SBENU overextended. So picking a complete bottom lane is not always the best way to go, but when it comes to completed bottom lane, that's a very powerful one on the side of CJ.
Yeah, so one of the premier bottom lanes in the current meta. Pretty much good in almost every situation except for Siege, but you can supplement that in other ways with your draft. Flawless, I'd love to see him on Graves.
They've already got an Elise, though.
It's the Elise, so we'll see perhaps Soar take that, as it is gaining popularity in the top lane now that Trace and Jin Air managed to topple SK Telecom with a double Graves top lane pick.
Not sure if it's quite as ever-present as perhaps that series might have suggested. Against a champion with low wave clear like the Tahm Kench, where you can wail on both the melee champion and the turret, I think it's very strong, but when it comes to just a ubiquitous top lane pick, I'm not convinced that Graves is there quite yet.
We'll see. As teams get more as a chance to practice him, I think we'll see him move into the meta more and more. However, Lissandra is still a major priority, and considering it was banned in the last game, and Soar actually did have some decent engages in game number 1, they will go ahead and pick it up again. So Lucian now for Nuclear.
Will we see the Kindred takeaway? Because of course it was this exact jungle matchup that Bubbling made a big impression, killing bengi in his jungle on the Kindred. Very early level 2, level 3 gank at the blue buff.
Yeah, just walking into the blue buff, soloing down bengi, and walking right out, getting a fancy first blood. Didn't amount to much as SK Telecom quickly regained control of the game and took CJ down from there without losing. But it was something, and we saw at least Bubbling had a good idea of when Kindred's power spikes are compared to other junglers and what was possible at that juncture in time.
And specifically damage output. Like, you need to know how strong, how much damage you'll do with your QW combo. And he had calculated it well, took down bengi in that situation. The last time Sarsen had to blind pick a mid, or at least didn't have the red side pick, it was indeed the Jace that he was hovering.
Could go for the Varus here. Now they know the Victor's up, so few options if they want to go for a Lucian poke composition with another AD mid laner, and it will be the Jace, no Varus for Sarsen, and the Trundle to provide the zone. So much better composition this time around from SBENU, but they tried to play that poke comp in game 1, Papa Smithy, and they sort of ran out of gas in the mid game and couldn't siege any more turrets, and eventually sort of had to luck into a win with some poor team fighting from CJ.
It's good dragon control from them in game 1, though, that really proved to be the big factor, and they have, again, a comp that could definitely monopolize dragon, depending on how much pressure Jace can exert in the mid lane. Gonna have to see if Saw can recreate his game 1, where he did make that really good flank play in the last fight to really cement a victory, and then the Trundle as well. If they do go for Maokai, Trundle is a great answer, shredding that frontline tank.
And they have enough disengage, they have the Lissandra, they have the Elise, they have the Trundle, so it means Untara is going to have to impress with his TPs. And while he has been good at TPing for ganks in the bottom lane, his mid and late game TPs have not looked anywhere near that level. And we saw that in previous Maokai games that he's played. This will be his 3rd Maokai game of this season. Very good at diving turrets post-6 with Madlife. So I anticipate CJ is going to want standard lanes here to utilize Untara's strength that he's shown previously.
Just waiting for the last trades to come through. I'm not expecting there to be a top lane Trundle, but for now they're at least considering it.
I really like this. They have Kindred ult and Alistar ult to dive turrets, with Alistar able to get people out of the Kindred ult to continue surviving while they make these dives.
And it might actually be a Trundle top and a support Lissandra.
That would be quite interesting as the counter is ticking down, so we are going to see a really surprising swap. But if you consider the Trundle top, which we've seen actually quite a bit in China so far this season, that would make sense as a counter to Maokai, so they will be surprising everybody with the support Lissandra play.
This is actually a matchup I have seen in China a lot. You do outscale the Maokai, just split push all the things. It's one of those situations where Maokai doesn't do enough damage, just disregard him and keep pushing. And the push might actually be on by Saw and this Trundle in particular.
And a 5-6 item Trundle is certainly one of the best split pushers in the game. There is no answer on the lineup of CJ Entus to deal with this. Should Trundle pick up a lot of items? Can Soar do it? Can Secret play support Lissandra? Stay tuned. CJ fans loud and proud here. Bubbling would like to go back and grab an extra item, it would appear, so he will be late to the party in the river.
Do you know there's an undocumented change in 6.1? I believe it's actually early. It might have been 5.24, where if you don't buy a trinket and leave the base, it gives you a warding trinket.
It does. I realize that.
Cool.
I don't like it.
No?
No. Forgetting trinkets was one of my favorite parts of the early game because at least it gave you something to discuss.
You do love the Nelson ha-ha approach of people's mistakes. The point and laugh has certainly been one of your things. As the Trundle last second swap, I am not convinced this was a pre-plan. This was seeing Maokai and realizing that one of the counter matchups, I believe Zatai was one of the big pioneers of this. Take the Trundle, get the Hydra, and just split push all the things.
I am quite intrigued to see this. It's been a really long time since we've seen a top Trundle in Korea, even though it has seen some play in other regions.
You know what's even rarer? A 2v2.
Yeah. That's our first actually standard lane of the night. In our 6th and final game.
Let me tell you something about Lissandra Lucian. These guys can push waves.
I very much believe you.
Wait, he's actually gone Relic Shield.
Yep. I guess
Lissandra.
he wants to auto some stuff. Interesting that he wouldn't actually be going for a Frostqueen's claim here.
So of course this will mean that as he pushes the wave, he'll get the Relic Shield procs, but as a counter, like, Frostqueen's claim is a damn strong item and would help with pick potential. So surprising, but that's what he's going to do.
Okay, I guess just wants to be even tankier for whatever reason, even though he does have an ultimate that makes him invulnerable. Curious decision, but I'm sure Secret knows more about support Lissandra than I do.
See, in previous patches, before Frostqueen's claim existed, I actually liked this. For example, Annie's support running Relic Shield, where you could charge up your passive by last hitting minions with your Q, and that made a lot of sense. But just with the power level of Frostqueen's claim, and specifically the Spooky Ghost, I'm surprised to see any movement away from that on this patch.
Especially with a poke composition where you're trying to avoid the flanks anyway, and it gives you that little bit of extra vision when you might otherwise be caught unawares. Also helps with your disengage. I do think this is really a surprising selection, but maybe Papa Smithy, he will switch it up for us a little bit later.
The only reason to do that would be for more gold generation in lane, and he's against a melee support that he can auto attack. So I feel like that's not really a thing.
Yeah. Very, very odd choice here on our support, Lissandra. Flawless gonna chill with the crab. And now starts to take a look. Bubbling is also here, coming through the lane, looking for the counter gank. And Sentinel, what will you find? You will find an Elise in the brush, and they're going to go in. Nuclear already punted over, exhausted. Secret going to get the Ring of Frost down for a couple of stuns, but Nuclear has to hop out of this one. Kramer gets low, as does Bubbling. I'm surprised they decided to go for that engage after they saw Elise.
I mean, Madlife just pressed the all-in button, flash exhaust straight on to trying to get a pick, but at the end of the day, the 3v3 certainly wasn't landsliding the advantage of CJ, so everyone has to back away.
No, 2 summoners for what? 5 on CJ, burning through both of Madlife's, or one of Bubbling's 4, excuse me, and Kramer's heal. Meanwhile, a heal and an ignite only used for SBENU, so not even a flash gained in the end. Meanwhile, this boring lane is going to be continuing for a while until, of course, Soar is able to manhandle Untara's Maokai.
Don't expect to see the camera on top too much. It's going to be tank wars and then some, harkening back to the start of summer season.
Yeah, and killing the Trundle early, trying to take him down, trying to slow him is a viable tactic, especially with a Maokai who has that crowd control. But Bubbling going for the quick gank on the bottom side instead. They were trying to punish an overextended Lissandra Lucian combination, but the gank was already there and Flawless was already set up in the river.
Now we see this mid lane where it's going to be a lot of poke between the two. Once Sky picks up his Death Ray enchant, he'll of course have that ability to power down the backline minions, but Assassin should have excellent wave control as well, specifically when he picks up blue buff. So again, wave clear wars, mid and top.
What do you expect? Here comes Soar with some TPs. Got himself a fancy new pickaxe. Pickaxes are not supposed to be used for combat, by the way. They're actually mining tools.
It's true.
So
I've played Minecraft, I know that.
Why would you sell them in a shop for people in Summoner's Rift? I mean, maybe if you're facing Malphite, it's actually useful.
That's fair.
Looking for some gold in there.
Should be a hidden passive there. Does 1 extra damage to Malphite.
Bubbling is waiting here for Secret. He's going to face check this bush with a pink ward. Madlife over the wall, but without a summoner, there's no actual follow-up. And here comes Untara. Flawless makes his gank at the top side. Untara going to flash over Soar with the counter flash. First blood to Flawless. They can't quite give it to Soar, but they take it from Untara anyway, setting him maybe a little bit behind. He already had a slight CS lead. Going to pick up some Boots of Swiftness now.
Swiftness boots have really been propelled up. Obviously, we've seen the popularity of them as a boot choice, but frequently I'm seeing top laners, junglers, mid laners just picking up Swiftness boots before any other effective items. Just double door and Swiftness boots, just because you think about what these boots accomplish, you're going to be more likely to get the trades when you want them with that extra flat movement speed. You're going to get away from ganks better. For 800 gold, you could argue that versus, say, a Sapphire Crystal and a Ruby Crystal, you're probably going to get more done offensively and defensively with just Swifty's Rush.
Right, and if you're confident in your mechanical ability or predictive ability, dodging some of those skill shots can also come into play instead of just trying to tank them with a Ruby Crystal instead.
I mean, you just think about it. The jungler walks in with sometimes no boots, in this case probably just regular boots, and you've got Swiftness boots. You're fine.
Yeah, and when you have a lane with no hard CC, extra bonus. Flawless lurking in a pink ward, hoping that CJ wants to make this play. There's going to be a cocoon on to Kramer, and holy cow, the burst. And that is instant death for Kramer, and you have to be careful. Lissandra with Ignite, even in the support role, will do some pretty hefty damage even pre-6.
She won't get too many Relic shield procs though, so I don't know about that, but otherwise, getting what he was looking for. With percentage health damage from the W and just Kindred's suite of damage, should be able to pick up the Rift Herald as well.
I assume we're going to put this on to bubbling because the Rift Herald jungler has been what we've been seeing tonight. And no, Tara benefits from the purple runes.
Misplay. Makes too much sense, therefore it must be wrong.
It's been a long night of junglers taking Rift Herald buffs and then running around the jungle with them.
It's been a long night in general. First 6-game night.
It was our first 6-game night of the season.
Well, first 3-game series yesterday, backing it up with first 6-game.
Somehow we'll go into 7 games, I'm sure, tomorrow.
Not you, though, Monte Cristo.
No, I won't be here.
You have a flight to catch.
I do. Goodbye.
Goodbye, cruel world. It's not a flight of fancy either.
Nope. Just more work. More work on the other end of the flight. As always.
Soar's got the Tiamat. We know where this is going.
Oh, we do. So Tiamat, now Nutara wants to come in for the trade. Actually, some very big damage from the minion wave hits him. One of the advantages that the Rift Herald buffs gives you is insane trading ability as long as those minions are attacking your opponent.
Attack speed is the big buff on them. They don't have the extra health or resistances that you see from the Baron buff, but the Rift Herald buff does mean that you take the trade damage that you wouldn't want to get.
Speaking of movement speed, that also going to help out with these Boots of Swiftness, magnifying that item.
Holy, that is a quick tree.
It is a very fast tree, the fastest tree you ever did see.
It's not role-playing very well. Trees aren't supposed to be really fast.
Yeah, tumbleweeds maybe. You give a tumbleweed enough space, you know, just going through.
Well, use the empowered recall as well, and obviously get a couple more backs in.
You know what's interesting about tumbleweeds, Papa Smith?
I'm listening.
You know how we always associate them with like Western movies
Yes.
and everything like that? You realize they're actually a Russian plant that is an invasive species in North America that was brought over by Russian settlers.
It's basically a vermin.
It is,
of the
absolutely.
plant variety.
And you know, they get huge, like absolutely enormous before they start tumbling. It's actually coming from Colorado in the West. It actually can be a problem where these immense, like 10-foot diameter tumbleweeds start moving around and like getting in roads.
Wow.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
What happens when a 10-foot tumbleweed goes into a car?
Well, they're very light, obviously,
That's true.
because they dry out and die, but it's mostly obscuring vision.
Yes.
It's not like a tree hitting you, but
Or a kangaroo,
Or
which
a
is a
kangaroo.
real concern where I'm from. Seriously.
kangaroo hitting you. Have you ever seen a man boxing a kangaroo, Papa Smith?
I haven't, but I have seen the results of a kangaroo going through a windshield. It's not good.
So you've seen a kangaroo boxing a car?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a bit of a line ball on who won. Certainly not the driver. It's not really something to laugh about, but it's okay. Be very, very quiet.
We're ganking Sassens. Oh, and there we go, Flash, but no W follow-up. Flawless is there. Have they overextended? Here comes Soar. He's very squishy, though. I'm not sure about this. And the Chaos Storm almost kills him. Are they going to turn this around? Secret is here, and he comes in with a nice ultimate blocking off 3 members. Flawless now left alive is going to repel. Meanwhile, Nuclear is chasing Kramer up. He's going to flash the Callista ultimate before it nails him. But 2 kills off of that teleport in another sloppy series of plays. Questionable TP there from Soar, but they make it work somehow.
Yeah, obviously.
Secret mostly.
And Untara, overrating just how quick he was, wasn't in range of the Flash W, and then was punished by the teleport coming in. So even though Soar looked like he was going to die, bought enough time for the positioning, CJ were a little bit overextended, and the kills go over to SBENU.
Yes, they do. So, couple down to Flawless, 1 onto Sassen. And this Trundle is starting to take over the top lane. 3 assists, 2 deaths so far for Untara, who has lost his farm lead that he so carefully acquired pretty early on in this game, and now he's playing on the defensive against a champion that is essentially guaranteed to outscale him.
There's just no way. The kits just don't match up when it comes to the late game. It's to the point where you get enough health items and Soul will disregard turrets and the Maokai wailing away at him. The base damages are not enough. Rod of Ages Maokai is not going to come out, and still again would not be enough. Spirit Visage is the big item here, where his sustain from minions and just his general health regen will put him over the top. Lifesteal as well, of course, from eventually the Ravenous Hydra, but it could, I guess, be the Titanic Hydra if he wants to pivot a little bit differently.
Yeah, always an option. And the Sterex gauge starting to be built here, and of course when you get that procced on the Trundle when he's in his ultimate, just the effective stats you get from the additional HP, very, very nice when you're already stealing a ton of armor and magic resist from Maokai.
Yeah, health and AD, that's all you really need is Trundle. You'll steal the rest.
Yeah, take it right away. Flawless now, once again, trying to zone Antara out. They want this turret, which will be the first of the game. Madlife threatening on the side with the help of bubbling in the enemy jungle, so they want to trade evenly, but that Kalista not going to be too quick on the turrets. Meanwhile, Nuclear still has the culling up, so they're going to turn their focus to the dragon instead. Definitely a more likely objective at this point in time.
First stack, again, quite late, 13 minutes, especially by Series 1 speeds. I believe that Trundle this patch no longer gets the auto attack reset doing extra damage to turrets, but of course it's built AD and in general is doing just fine. It's going to keep onto Antara. Can Flawless get here fast enough?
And there's the flash cocoon. Untara's going to get hit by it. That's it. Right there. Soar smashes Untara with his police baton. And that is just a horrible demonstration of police brutality right there in Summoner's Rift. Nuclear now bounced around. Bubbling is going to be ulted. Nuclear exhausted. He's trying to get out, but the Chaos Storm is enough. Secret now on the retreat under his turret. Bubbling jumps forward, and can Sky finish this off? One last auto, and that will be a double kill for Sky as he roams into the bottom side. Ssumday was busy occupied doing blue buff with Flawless at that time, so probably a smarter idea would have been to retreat. Everyone stacked from SBENU onto the top side of the map.
Feels like Nuclear and Secret are the ones to take the most from rewatching these games. 2 games in a row, they've been overextended in situations where their team has been in the ascendancy in other parts of the map, meaning that they were sitting ducks under their own structures. Just bad position, I'd have to say, from Nuclear and Secret.
And unfortunate blue buff timing, just miscommunications across the team, but I mean, we can say that, but SBENU actually is going to get the mid lane turret, so they actually got 2 turrets off of those pushes and a kill in exchange for 1 turret and 2 kills.
But you know what else would have been better? If they hadn't given up any deaths from just pointlessly overextending.
Yes, quite clear. Flawless again here. Antara is in a world of hurt. Ssumday coming through, wants to move into hammer time. Secret now, gonna Q, and there we go. Pops into the skies for the kill. Ssumday follows up on some of this support Lissandra engage, and despite that 1 death, Secret has honestly been better than expected on support Lissandra.
It's making plays. That's, 4 assists, 4 out of 6, a 75% kill participation. All that work for 1 kill and not picking up an objective means they're going to probably lose this mid turret.
Nope, Soar is there. Gonna come around, block off this minion wave. Nuclear comes up through the lane.
Giving free time to Jace on this inner turret will be a pretty big problem. Of course, Jace with the overdrive W can do a lot of damage to turrets.
Still working on his first item. We saw Coco do this to tier into Yomu's Ghostblade. So you have that armor penetration, just earlier power spike right there.
Means you can be a madman in hammer stance form as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You do find an opening, and honestly, Antara in no position to be able to tumble even with a single armor item, just so far behind. It's kept up in CS, and Maokai obviously will always have his role in a team fight, being that reliable tank with his ultimate, but any hope of Snowball is certainly far away, and that's why you see the Ravenous Hydra. It is the start of Trundle really putting on the pedal to the metal in the top lane.
Yeah. So Hydra going to be the first completion here. We'll see if he goes into the Sterex gauge after this now.
Worth noting that you can freely swap between Ravenous Hydra and Titanic Hydra, so when he gets a couple of health items, can just pivot towards that.
Yeah, we've frequently seen that on Fioras this season, who start with Titanic and then swap over to Ravenous for the late game as they get some more HP items. So now SBENU, though, they remove the pesky last outer turret from the Rift. Soar playing conservatively while his opponents push forward, something that perhaps Secret and Nuclear could learn from. And now they're going to get another tier 2 as Soar backs off deep into his own jungle. And this is a really unfortunate series of trades from CJ.
This is not a swap you want to make. You might think, oh, we have double AD, Kindred, and Kalista, but you have no match compared to a champion like specifically the Jace. They're going to keep going, and CJ's woefully out of position.
As Soar is here now, he's trying to delay Sky, their form of wave clearance. SBENU is just powering through turrets. There's no defense. They're going to have to back off, but oh, they're still going for it because Soar is still stuck on a Sky and they see bubbling. Eventually the turret goes down to the top side. They know where Kindred is. Sky nowhere to be found. Soar did an amazing job of trapping Sky in a situation where he could not get back.
But you just know that that was one of those mixed shot calls where people were talking about getting back and someone saying, I'm occupied here by the Trundle. The result is they basically lose their inhibitor in the bottom side of the map for free. Baron's going to certainly be a big contention so early in the game. How often do you see the base broken at 18 minutes in what was, in all intents and purposes, a very even game?
Yeah, truly a appalling display of shot calling from
That's a strong word.
Entus. Well, that's honestly what it was, Papa Smithy. There's no sugarcoating this one.
You're correct. Strong but necessary.
Oh boy. So they got a couple turrets for it, but hardly worth it considering here at 20 minutes we're in a very real situation where this Baron is under threat.
Also, we have a Maokai with Righteous Glory and a Glacial Shroud trying to deal with super minions. That's not going to go well.
An unenviable position.
Quite.
For this CJ Entus team.
I almost want Flawless to go back and sell his locket for a Banner of Command and watch what Maokai does against Banner of Command super minions at this point in the game.
You can't Banner of Command a super minion, unfortunately. That's one of the tragic aspects of Banner of Command.
No double-double.
You could only go for cannon minions or range minions or melee minions, so it actually really is disappointing to me too.
You just want to see those super powered minion waves.
I do. I won't lie.
Can you stack Rift Herald and Baron buff if you took it on spawn?
I don't know. Actually.
Imagine that. Those would be the minions to end all minions.
So Rift Herald, we're going to find out maybe though, Papa Smithy. This game could answer our questions. Soar is by himself, but he has ulted. Now Madlife coming around, no help here, he has overextended. So here we go, the play onto Soar continues. He's life-stealing a little bit. He's now back in his small form, and that will mean that Bubbling gets the coup de grace on him. Nothing done by SBENU on the other side of the map.
Minion wave's not here. It looks like they'll be able to group just as the minion wave breaks, so won't be able to get too much turret damage in, but they're going to try.
Yep. Moving forward, they try and zone people off. And Tara's coming in with a TP, though, so that will prompt a swift retreat from the members of SBENU Sonicboom. And there's a TP gone to waste as they can't close the deal. Meanwhile, Soar up in 10 seconds, so lost the pressure, but Death Timer is simply not long enough at this point in the game to really make a move.
In a row have we seen Kindred literally never get to ult?
Yeah. I really stand by my statement earlier tonight where the only Kindred players that have impressed me so far are Peanut and Score, and that's it.
You can really win games solo with the Lamb's Respite. Just how powerful an early duelist Kindred is, but the non-factor Kindreds really seem to weigh down their teams.
It's like Rengar, you know, similar situation where at the top end, that's an extraordinarily strong pick. Not currently, but in the past. But in the medium end, it's so hard to play accurately, and it requires such a degree of teamwork that you can make it look really bad.
We definitely saw some ripe Rengars last season. Score tried to play Rengar a few times. Even that wasn't good.
It wasn't good. Dandy will forever and always be the true Rengar master.
Man, that was a while ago now, I guess. Those days. Behind us, as Spirit Visage we talked about. Ravenous Hydra, Spirit Visage. Good luck doing anything if you're the Maokai.
So more zoning from the support Lissandra. Finally with W. Jace will take down the tier 2 turret in the mid lane. The methodical closure coming through. Surprisingly, in spite of the fact that they have 3 turret advantage and an inhibitor down, SBENU only up by about 4,500 gold.
The gold lead certainly doesn't reflect what feels like a big lead, but so early in the game still.
So here's another turret though that will add to the mountain of gold that SBENU is working on piling up in this game.
Hurricane Blade of the Ruin King means that Kramer is actually pretty decent at dealing with these super minion waves. That inhibitor should be respawning very shortly.
Soar going for a defensive build now. Warden's Mail and Spirit Visage. I think he could go a little more crazy here and be perfectly fine.
Honestly, you don't really need more damage at this point. I can understand. But cooldown reduction is actually such a great stat. Frozen's Heart would be pretty good here just because I guess in previous times it was about just the auto attack reset doing bonus damage to turrets. I don't believe that it affects it anymore. I think on this particular patch it was removed. It might be the next one, I could be saying a lie, but they are changing the Q proc from no longer effective.
Great ultimate from Lissandra, but are they going to turn this around now? Soar is an absolute monster. Antara is dead, and so is Secret. Big AoE, but they have to back off. Flawless and Saucin too low, and Soar not there at the start of that fight.
Both Nuclear and Saucin weren't able to fight. Saucin was exhausted during the majority of it, and Nuclear just couldn't get in range to do damage, so the result was a very muddied fight, but good job for CJ. Kept their inhibitor alive despite all the pressure and drew out that teleport from Soar. So slightly less split push pressure for the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, 2 TPs up, of course, for Sky and Antara. So now they have ways to deal with the split push. Comes down to SBENU trying to bait this Baron now, it would appear, after taking a Dragon and moving their wards up to that side of the map. They can try another poke, but the flank situation is going to be much more intense in the next push from SBENU.
Maokai's already in a pretty decent position to body block. We do see the Lord Dominic's Regard finished for Jace, so does have the finished Last Whisper item. But still isn't the old Last Whisper, so will effectively tickle the Maokai in the front line. Nuclear going crazy on Kramer.
Yeah, definitely putting down a lot of upfront damage, but again, there's really not anything he can follow up on right here. So culling used, but everyone else from CJ there, no opportunity gained. They're still split pushing with Soar in spite of their lack of TP.
Very, very risky to do this when they had 2 members not grouped in the bottom. Even a 4-man just seems like...
They do have good flank pink wards though. They've got one in the tri-brush behind them. They have one next to the blue buff, so they know that there aren't any wards to TP to behind them right now. They've actually encircled themselves in pink wards, so surprisingly well executed for SBENU.
Playing with fire nonetheless.
Still, I agree. Risky situation, but they're willing to take it right now. Maokai still up in the top lane. Flawless has his Raptor buff popped, but they just can't quite get here. And is this the point in the game where Soar just doesn't even have to pay attention to Antara? Pop Smithy?
Yep, that's the point.
Halfway through, 1 inhibitor turret already.
Only gets worse.
That is very true.
And that's just the reality, but they do have teleport on Victor. He can do more damage than the Maokai. Maybe that's the lane assignment they'll have to do, but of course they will then lack wave clear around this exposed inhibitor.
Yeah, no damage on the inhibitor yet though. SBENU tentatively going in. They actually send Bubbling into the top side.
He doesn't care about him either.
Yeah, Soar really not taking damage. So here's Antara. He's actually TP'd. Oh no, he just walked down with Righteous Glory. I got excited. Now he's actually cocooned and then chained into a Lissandra ultimate. They'll trade Flawless for this.
Meanwhile,
Bubbling was the one set up into the top lane and Maokai brought back down. But Bubbling is now at 1/3 HP and lost the turret. So this isn't much of a deterrent actually.
keep the pressure on. There's no reason to back away. There's nothing that Bubbly can do apart from just try and dissuade.
Yeah, best thing you could do right now. Oh, geez, Madlife nearly gets finished off. And here we go, Bubbling actually may just straight up die to Soar. No, has to pop the Lamb's Respite. And Secret taking some trades. Sky on the run, has to flash out of his auto attack range. But there's no stopping Trundle.
Well.
Oh. No, where's the rest of the team going? Oh, man. They actually gave them an opportunity to come back and defend that inhibitor instead of continuing to press forward. So here we go. Antara with the TP. He's got the home guard. Sora has no mana. So this will be easy. Popped up into the air is Soar a couple of times with a Pulve and an Arcane Smash. And CJ may be going for a bold little Baron play.
Left their Officer out to dry. Officer down, Monty. I don't believe that's how they're supposed to fight. I think that's actually not good, but did it anyway. And
yeah, a policeman should really never be alone, right? That's why they always work in pairs.
It's true.
They're really dangerous. No split pushing police, please.
This Baron is being DPS down.
Yeah, it is. Now Poke coming into the pit. Sasson going to catch Madlife on the outside. They get the Baron, though. Kindred will take it. Now the Callisto ult coming in. Flawless up in the air. Has to flash out. Sasson now the target. He gets locked down. And Nuclear needs to make something happen, but it's not going to. 2 more kills for CJ.
And this was so easily averted by keeping the pressure in the bot lane. Even though they'd fallen low, the Trundle was literally 3-4 auto attacks away from finishing that inhibitor.
One Papa Smithy. 1 auto attack.
Maybe even just a single auto attack, but left him out to dry. Lose the Baron from it. These calls from SBENU certainly not on point.
Yeah, so now they have to fight in this Baron pit. There's just not enough here. Madlife again doing a great job of zoning out the jungler.
Ifalus was looking for an optimistic steal, but it's completely zoned out by Madlife once again on this Alistar. And this is the superior numbers. It's the reality of the superior numbers. They get some more exit kills. They still have the Baron. And they're trying to break the base with this Baron buff.
Wow. In spite of losing a 17-minute inhibitor in this game, CJ is somehow bouncing back. So they're moving on forward. Maybe they could take an inhibitor of their own right now, even up the gold. They still have to deal with this Trundle, who is somewhat, for some reason, dealing with the minion wave instead of just rushing toward the inhibitor right now. They're definitely giving up 1. CJ doesn't have any other tier 2s to trade. Trundle will get to the inhib, and he will take it.
See if he can finish it off. It would have healed up a little bit. We do expect him to take it. SBENU need to keep the pressure on. Yep, we'll get that inhibitor.
So there you go, trading 1 for 1, but mid is down. They have another one exposed if SBENU can outlast the Baron.
And then they'll be able to set up the unenviable position of the Trundle split pushing in bot, Maokai not able to match him, and then attempting to fight at the next Baron. If those things are all clumped together, very hard strategically for CJ to hold both of those objectives.
Yeah, there's really no excuse for SBENU right now. This is the phase of the game, even under the current conditions where they've traded evenly on inhibitors, where CJ should be able to hold against SBENU. We've seen that they've managed to create this protective wall of pink wards around them on the siege. They have that big split pushing edge with the Trundle. They have a teleport available to them right now. So it's just a matter of waiting out this Baron buff and seeing what they can do.
Just PvE for Trundle. He's down the bottom. That's exactly where he should be. It will require multiple members, and neither of them have teleport at the moment. So Trundle should be the strategic hole that really punches the win for SBENU, because CJ should have no answer for what he's doing right now with the only teleport available on the map.
Yeah, they're much further behind in the turret race. 3 turrets down. In addition, they're having to make some headway against super minions.
Well, maybe it's time for a Madlife play. They need to get a pick right now, because the race is not going to go towards CJ, and that's why you can see 2 members backing already.
Yeah, Sky and Antara down there, maybe hoping they can find something. Righteous Glory is stuffed by a pillar. Soar now backing off. No laser hit either, so Soar diffusing the engage. Follow-up was incoming from the rest of the CJ Entus team.
The Rylai's proc probably wouldn't have been enough, but still was avoided by the Trundle, who gets away. But that's the sort of pressure that, as you can see, CJ understand they need to send multiple members to deal with this Trundle, so that's a big strategic hole to navigate around.
Yeah, 2 minutes until the next Dragon, but really that's not going to be a factor in this game. It will end before anybody can get all the way to number 5. unless there is some sort of very strange occurrence, considering we've only had 3 here at what will be about 34 minutes.
SBENU just pushing up. Again, Baron buff being on the field is where their comp really kicks into high gear. That's where you set up a split push who has a big advantage over his opponent on the polar opposite side of the map. Before then, I guess we might see a fight around Dragon, but third Dragon versus second, well, not too much on the line for that Dragon.
We had a 21, 22 minute first Dragon in this game, so the reality of stacking 5 is very, very small.
The draw of Dragon is real. Sometimes people just want to fight it, even when the buff to our train dies. Doesn't seem like it's worth any sort of commitment.
It's definitely not in this particular scenario. Much more about that open inhibitor for SBENU down there in the bottom lane of CJ that they took about halfway into this game so far, but haven't been able to retake since.
Trundle's going back to base, doesn't have an item to purchase, so changing lane assignment now, going back to top. I guess perhaps the inhibitor's respawning soon.
We shall see. It was taken down after the mid, so it should be in short succession. Baron now up in 2 minutes, and that'll be the main objective to play around moving forward. But Trundle still in that top side with the naked inhibitor, the downed inhibitor rather, and CJ just not giving an opportunity to get into a split push situation in the bottom lane as they move over and prepare for this Dragon. Uh-oh.
Stop the Dragon.
This may be an overcommitment here by SBENU. And there we see Untara coming down from the bottom side. Flawless is going to get caught, but actually Jace steals the Dragon, but they sacrifice their jungler for it. And now Secret is double killed here by Sky. Madlife thrown forward by the Kalista ult into the front line.
What did I tell you about the lure of the Dragon?
It's a noob trap.
That's fair.
I think those are your words, not mine.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. We'll have a fun to look back at.
There is no proof, Bumsmithy. But anyway, now CJ has their minion wave in the mid lane and looking to maybe finish this with only 3 members left up. It was only the support in the jungle who died, so they still have to contest with 2 carries and this Trundle, so they have to satisfy themselves with just an inhibitor right now. Big minion wave at the Nexus turret at the moment of CJ. How low is that getting? It may actually die.
Nope. Because the inhibitor respawned.
Oh, what a shame.
What a standoff.
That's actually a really good timing for the inhibitor to respawn, because now the super minions from CJ will clear that out.
And slow push back.
And slow push back. So anyway, Soar going to get caught into the mid lane right now. He's actually going to fall. Untara tanking the culling. Kramer and Sky following up, and they take out the main threat. Sauce it on the run, and Tara flash W's in. Madlife with the follow-up CC, and now CJ Entus is on the verge of a huge turnaround.
I'd call it an upset, but we set our expectations higher for SBENU, low for CJ, and it feels like we were slightly off on both barometers.
Yeah, SBENU just unable to close this game in spite of the massive edge that they got through CJ's poor shot calling early. CJ cleaning it up, playing the defensive game, and outlasting their second Baron, now taken. So can they push forward? Oh my, what?
Saw just walked into an area that had no vision whatsoever, and look, died instantly given how tanky he was. And from there, Sassen on Jace, it's all about keeping space. No way to do that against the flash W from Maokai. SBENU got punished for just a misplay.
Yeah. And after that initial fight that saw them lose a few members, charging forward into the darkness, not the greatest plan, but it was a good pick set up by CJ, playing around their vision and baiting out the face check.
Remember that CJ were the ones that had more gambits to get over. They still have this mismatch between Trundle and Maokai, but it hasn't been a factor despite the fact 17-minute inhibitor should have forced CJ into all situations where they had no chance to really pick the right choice. Interesting to see. Ravenous Hydra is finally swapped for Titanic, but probably not a major factor given this game looking like it might be over very soon.
Yeah, quickly taking out the top lane inhibitor turret. CJ surging into SBENU's base, and those minions doing a number on the inhibitor so far. Kramer will find a few auto attacks to get there. Madlife just playing a zone game at the moment. Bubbling has to play on the other side of the wall. Untara actually gets ulted by Secret. That is not who you want to ult.
Triple Baroned up cannon minions. Make short work of the inhibitor. They can back away. CJ's playing the inhibitor game smarter than SBENU could do, despite the fact that SBENU gave themselves so many win conditions, both in their late roll swap between the Trundle up to the top lane and just taking that early inhibitor.
I mean, Soar Flame Horizon Utar in this game. He had over 100 CS advantage, and he could not take advantage of it because of the way that SBENU was playing the map and the lack of coordination that they had as a team in order to put the pressure on. It was so close here for SBENU.
Close but no cigar, the story of League of Legends.
Well,
Graves doesn't get one,
nope.
SBENU doesn't get one.
Nobody gets one.
No cigars.
Cigars are illegal. Okay, CJ now trying to finish off the remainder of the turrets as they continue to use this Baron buff to its fullest extent.
And you just know how this game is going, where Trundle is grouped, even though he has teleport up.
Does seem rather inevitable at this stage, doesn't it, Baba Smithy? Okay, CJ now going to use Righteous Glory. They want to move forward here. They're going to get ulted in the backline. Sky actually hit by Lysandra, and now Bubbling falling low, but remember, he does have that Land's Respite, and Kramer now takes out Sasin. So this is going to be an ace. Untara is alive still and will trade the kill in the end, but the ace comes through for CJ. They come back at 40 minutes to take the second game win of this series and the match in what looked like going to be a SBENU win. They rob it and turn it around.
Highway robbery from CJ Entus, but what a confidence lift that this will give to a squad that wasn't thought much of either by us or by the fans. Everyone thought it was going to be purely a rebuilding season.